Hey, welcome back, everyone, and especially welcome back to Romain, who is off for a little bit of personal time before we start really heading into BFCM. We also have Zach from our product team, and I'm Lucas Walker. We are obviously all from Gorgias, and this is our monthly product webinar and town hall. We're going to be talking about stability and some of the downtime that we've been having and how we're really revamping that up. We're going to be going over some new product updates and as well as our roadmap as we usually do. And then I'm also going to share how you can get an iPhone for free by referring someone to Gorgias. So thank you everyone who's joining us. Let us know in the chat box where you're watching from, what time zone you're in. Now, it's always fascinating to see where people are from around the world. If you have any questions, drop them into the chat box, add them into the questions below. We've got Mike from Tampa, we've got Jay, we've got Adriana, LA, Anna's joining us from Fayetteville, Angela from Mooresville, Ryan in the Eastern time zone. We got Arkansas, Tampa, Dr. Diana Carlson from Las Vegas, Nevada, India. We have people all over the world joining us today. So with that note, as we're all trickling in, I'll pass it over to Romain and Zach. And if you have any questions, put them in the chat box, or even better yet, put them into that questions tab so that I can see them. If you want us to go over anything, answer in a little bit more detail, I'll be moderating from there. Sylvia, Oakville, Ontario. I'm out in Etobicoke down in Long Branch, closest to Lucas there. Awesome.
Thanks.
All right, Romain, Zach, do you want to take it away?
Yeah, let's do it. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining. It looks like it's going to be an intimate session. Like, we didn't send a newsletter today, so there's 50 of us chatting today. So really excited to see you all, and thank you a lot for joining. And as Lucas said, like, we've been very successful in the past by having like these product conversations through questions on the chat. So really don't hesitate to ask stuff there. Zach and I are working on the roadmap for the next quarter, and it's always really, really helpful to get your feedback on this.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, I want to kick it off with stability. So so we had some issues, as you probably saw on the first cluster. So that impacts about half of our customers, and so we've decided to put like a big emphasis on stability over the next few months before BFCM. So Black Friday, Cyber Monday coming up later this year. And so I wanted to share a little bit like what we are doing. So first of all, like, we hired 10 new engineers on the team to work on stability, and we've built a team that's dedicated to this. So the goal is that they're going to QA all the possible issues that we can have ahead of time to avoid having issues. The second thing we are launching next week is on-call duty for engineers worldwide. So which means there's always going to be somebody responding to any potential issue right away. And the last thing that we are introducing is that we are going to do 24/7 support. Right now, it's like 16 hours a day, Monday through Friday. And so if some of you guys have issues during the weekend, we'll also be available. So still aiming for a 5-minute response time on all channels. So yeah, we're beefing up the team to make sure everything goes well throughout the end of the year. So I wanted to tell you guys about this. Like, we obviously like take this very seriously, and I want to make sure you're successful throughout the holiday season. That's it regarding stability. So now let's jump into the new stuff. So I've heard Zach has some very nice features to share.
Yeah, so first off, hi everyone. So good to host one of these again. So I'm not sure how many of you are aware, but we just released an update about creating internal notes, creating tickets via internal notes. Yeah, let us know those of us who've actually used it, those of us who are interested in it. The more that we know from you guys, the best we can tailor it for you. So has anyone, been able to use this? Is anyone have any use cases in which this would be valuable? I wanted to kind of walk you through why it's important to be able to create an internal note create a ticket via an internal note. Because in the past, you would have to send an email. You could not use it as the first message in the ticket. So I want to give you guys a little scenario, a little walkthrough of one, how to do it, and two, how that can be useful to your team. So in the past, if you had just started a ticket, you could either reply via email, but this option for leave an internal note would not have been available. So the first thing you have to do is find your customer. So let's look up Zach and Gorgias. You add your customer to the ticket. And now if you have a macro, for example, like for mine here would be return request. Let me find it, sorry. Returns. Oops. Well, anyways, essentially the idea would be you could say, you can tag a customer, you can tag an agent. So we'll say Phil. You can give them something to do, agent customer asked for a return. And now you've created a new ticket that did not reach out to the customer, but created an internal note. And so that's valuable because what it will allow you to do is record information about a customer's story. It'll allow you to assign tasks to customers. I know a lot of our customers will essentially have one person, for example, who deals with all returns. So what you can do if the customer hasn't reached out, it can allow you to assign tasks to them via Gorgias, reducing the need to use things like Slack, and essentially just pulling more and more of these communication apps. Because I know right now, especially as a lot of us are still in this state of kind of between quarantine and out of quarantine. And so there's a lot of communication between teams that are in different places. And we wanted to really kind of build the ability to communicate with each other within Gorgias, because the more that you can do within our app, the less you have to jump from page to page, the more you can just focus on your tasks at hand. So this tool is particularly useful for blending kind of the in-person and the online. If you have a good rapport with a customer and you talk to them in person, for example, and you want someone to reach out to them proactively, you can create a ticket with an internal note saying, at agent name, can you reach out to XYZ? And that will allow you to, assign tasks, give context. If they had a difficult experience, let the agent know so that they can kind of work through that. And it'll overall just create a better experience for your customers, because they're going to have access to information that otherwise you'd have to move through other means, or the agent might just not know. So that's creating tickets for internal notes. I would love to hear those of us who've used it or have a use case for it. The more we could hear from you guys, the better.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
I think that
questions on it.
Oh yeah.
From the chat group, and I'm also going to take this time to plug our Gorgias Facebook community, where a few members were talking about this as a way to incorporate, whether it's Instagram DMs or another social channel, etc., to put these notes here as an offline channel. So some questions, Zach, from the group. So the internal note, is that on each case or ticket, for instance, or is it going to the customer side? So would that be for the customer overall, or for each individual interaction?
Each individual interaction. So this allows you to create essentially create a task for another user, or share information so specific to the case. Because otherwise what you can use is, right here you can see your customer notes, and you can add general customer notes, but what we haven't been able to do in the past is create incident specific, and another thing too is just allow proactive kind of communication, because otherwise to create a new ticket, you'd have to send an email either to the customer or to, even your own email to actually create the ticket. So this is a much cleaner way to accomplish that task. I wanted to respond to a couple questions in the actual questions board, but Mike asked about, or Matthew asked about the chat update. And I just wanted to tell you, we're going to show that a little later. I built a working prototype for you guys to kind of see how it would work in practice. We've kind of completed the design, and now we're going to move on to the actual engineering side. Let's see. So are we able to send an email to the customer? So Claudia asked if we're able to send an email to the customer directly for from Gorgias. So Claudia, you can send an email. What you could then do is come in and from this same ticket, you can then send another email. So say, hi, I heard you ask for a return. I'll take care of that. So whereas before you would have had that, you would essentially have to send that message first. Now you can tell the other agent, this is what's going on. This is what we need to do. Just let me know if that answers your question. So Ray asked, is there any way to implement SLA? I apologize. What is SLA?
So the standard service level agreement. So I believe that, Ray, would this be for your own store's SLA? So if you say we respond to everyone within 6 business hours, is that what you're looking at for your own internal SLA? If you could just give us a little bit more context on how you're looking to do that, and then also a couple of questions will be chatted with that. The update on Instagram DMs, Romain, I don't know if you want to take that one, as well as Zach, what's the difference between the internal notes and notes?
Yeah, I'd love to answer the question about the difference between internal notes and customer notes, because there is an important difference between the two. So customer notes are just associated with the individual customer. So for example, it would be in the same area that their latest Shopify order would be. So that is not easily accessible to an agent unless they already have a ticket open or they're on the actual customer's page. You can't necessarily assign a note to another agent or flag it and make it readily available so people can, be notified of it. So it's really useful for storing like customer information. What do you know about what kind of personal things that you want to basically use to connect with them on a deeper level. But whereas internal notes create new tickets, these internal notes can create new tickets. They're on a ticket by ticket level. So that can allow you to assign tasks and kind of flag specific things you want somebody else to see, or context that you want someone to have before they answer a question. Does that, yeah, I think that should answer the question. Let's see. We're encountering issues. All right. Let me see. So Jasmine asked, when leaving an internal note on the right-hand side, can I leave the note by case, or is the note left on the customer's account? So Jasmine, like I said, it's on internal notes are on a case-by-case basis, whereas customer notes are on they stay with the customer's account through multiple tickets. So anytime that customer reaches out, that customer note will be associated with them. So that should be answered live. All right. Let's see.
And then a question, or really a product request from Trevor. Are we going to be adding our own optimized contact forms to use on sites? Ideally, these would include the ability for drop-down menus and adding attachments, so photos, etc. So Romain, you're going to answer it. Awesome.
Yeah, so thanks for asking. So we're going to talk about self-service a little bit at the end of the webinar. Basically, we want to do a better job at asking, either helping customers self-serve or asking all of the context before the ticket is created. So this way, the customer says, hey, I have a problem with my order. Agent responds, what problem? Customer responds, shipping problem. Agent responds, okay, what order? We want to eliminate all this back and forth. So we are starting with the chat, and we're going to have a self-serve portal on the chat to test this and see how that works and how you guys like it. And afterwards, if that works out well, then we want to do a self-serve platform, which would be a combo between what you see with help centers and what you see, for example, on Amazon, where you can actually do stuff on your order, issue or return directly from there. So yeah, no ETA right now. First thing is to ship the chat self-serve probably around October, and once we have that, we'll start building that stuff. That being said, I don't want to diverge too much from the outline. We'll have a time for the Q&A at the end of the webinar. So Zach, are you good with internal notes?
Yeah, I think we're good to go.
Okay, awesome. So I want to tell you guys about an upcoming feature, which is view sharing. So I'll go ahead and share my screen. So a little bit of context around view sharing. So there is, I see great news on the chat. Nice. Yeah, so a little bit of context around view sharing. Like a lot of you have multiple teams. So they can be a shipping team, a warehouse team, they can be a English and German team. And so you don't necessarily use the same views. We've seen a lot of Gorgias users that have like hundreds or 200s of views, and then it becomes a huge mess because you might create a view just for one-off, and it's only for you, and then everybody else has to see it all the time. And so we found that it creates confusion on the left on the navigation. So what we want to do here is to allow you to share a view with certain people. And so that's going live next week, if not earlier. And so that's basically what you see on my screen here. So there's going to be a sharing button right there. And so when you click it, you're going to be able to decide if the view is shared with everybody or with only certain people. And so share with everybody would be the same as today. The enthusiasm on the chat and Braden. So same as today, the one that's going to be different is the restricted access, when you can decide who's going to see this view. And so you're going to see this menu, like similar to what you see on Google Drive, where you can either select people or teams. And so only the selected people would see this view on the left. All right, cool. I see it's getting popular. So that's pretty nice. And so yeah, like it's almost done. So we're expecting to add this in the coming days. Another thing that we don't have on this webinar, but that I just want to quickly mention, is that the views on the left are like a very long list of many things. So what we are going to introduce as well by the end of the quarter, which means end of September, is to have sections. So there's going to be sections of like, let's say, like all your integrations. Then you can put email, messenger, social. Then you can have tags, and then you can have, for example, like like shipping, returns, etc. So this way you can structure your sidebar a little bit better, and this way everybody would see the same thing in the sidebar, same order, and so it looks like that's something that has been asked quite a bit. So again, we want to put some structure into the nav bar on the left. So hoping this is going to be helpful for you guys.
Excellent.
Yeah, it doesn't look like there are questions on this, so let's. I'll give you back the stage.
Excellent. Okay, great. And I wanted to show you guys, so now is a good time, I think, to transition into self-service. And with that in particular, I want to show you the designs that we've worked through for our chatbot. I built an interactive prototype so you guys can see what it looks like from both the agent and the customer perspective, how this will work. We're aiming to finish this around September. That's the goal from the engineering side, and push it live. I want to show you kind of what V1 will essentially look like. So as you can see, the chatbot opens and it has these panels. Essentially, you'll be able to start a conversation, but let's say you have an account and you're logged in to your account. You can select one of these options. In this use case, you're not logged in, so you have the ability to log in via email and zip code, billing zip code. And what you'll see first is your last order with a couple buttons tracking and reporting issues. These buttons will change based on the situation and some settings that you'll change, but you'll be able to customers will be able to initiate refunds, cancellations, not actually going through, but creating very structured, organized tickets for agents to basically be able to deal with the customer without having to grab, what order are you talking about? What items would you like to return? And trying to make this process as streamlined as possible. So what you can then do is see all orders. And now you'll pull a cumulative list of your orders. It'll be scrollable. You'll be able to see your orders with the specific items, with the specific fulfillments as well. And so I'll walk you through, for example, what it looks like to track an order. So you select track, you'll see this information pulled up. You'll have your tracking number that links to a URL, the shipping address, the status of the order. And what's cool is you'll be able to also report issues from there. So a lot of times what we've seen with customers is they'll reach out about an order status, and that will transition into a question, a report of, well, it says delivered, but XYZ, I can't find it, or it's been in transit for X number of days, what's going on. So what you can then do is select report issue. We've pre-selected a couple different issues based off of what we've seen from customers. If there's any missing that you see often, please let us know in the chat. That's always valuable for us as we kind of make little tweaks and revisions. So for example, I'm past my expected delivery date. So let's say you select that option, and what it'll do is create a ticket it'll like basically pull the customer into chat. So now it creates this structured ticket, which if you look into Gorgias, will appear like this, structured, I'm past my expected delivery date. Here's the order number. Here's the items in the order. This is the specific fulfillment. This is when the order is placed. And that way the agent doesn't have to play that, essentially phone tag with the customer where they email you and then the agent gets to it, 5-10 minutes later and the customer is already gone. So this stuff's going to be really valuable to your agents, in which they'll be like, the idea is that it'll drive up these essentially one-touch tickets, right? The agent gets all the information they need at once, so they can just pull through, answer the question, and get done with that ticket as soon as possible. So if you go back, and then what'll happen is the conversation can continue on here with the agent. So it's a seamless transition from, self-service portal to agent, creating a kind of 1-2 step delivery to essentially finish these chat tickets. So the other option you have, for example, is refunds. And refunds are going to be different than order tracking because you have to select items, you have to choose which items you'd like, which ones you don't. And so with this screen, for example, it'll pull you into a page where you can select the specific item. So now you can click select all, the request return button becomes available. Select request a return, and boom, same thing happens. The agent gets a ticket. It says, I want these, specific items returned. And what's also powerful about the return button is you'll be able to you'll be able to manipulate the eligibility window. So when is a customer going to see that option to initiate a return? So that works in its own way to deflect tickets by getting rid of those use cases. When a customer reaches out, let's say 90 days after their ticket, if after their order was placed, and your policy is 30 days. So the things you'll be able to filter by are either days since delivery or days since order placed, and SKUs or Shopify tags. So those things are pretty powerful, can let you, limit how many customers try to return things that are maybe they were on clearance and you have them tagged as a clearance, or that it's an item, a custom item that you don't return. The idea is to eventually, so just as Hannah was saying, over time, we would love to integrate this with the return system. It's something we're super passionate about. Like I said, this is V1. This is kind of our first step in that self-service, self-service push. And over time, building integrations with return systems like Returnly or Magic Returns, all these different platforms, and trying to build that in to really make this chatbot a powerful tool for automation. Because right now, its goal is to essentially make the job as easy as it can be for your agents. But over time, we want it to really function as a ticket deflection tool rather than a ticket simplification tool. And
there's a great question here, Zach, on that from Yash, to make it really fully self-service. I think Romaine's ears might pick up a little bit with this to add to the product board, and I see him answering it live. But will there be an option to select another product for exchange rather than that? So let's say somebody wants to do the exchange, can they choose a product of similar value to that. And I think that there would be a lot of logistical issues. I think it all really excites us.
Mm-hmm.
There would obviously be issues like if somebody's returning a $50 item and they want a $60 item, and you capture payment for that additional $10, or it's a $40 item and they want that $50 and they have $10 to credit. There's a few different human complexities to that, but I love that idea, because when I'm returning something, oftentimes I don't even care about the money. I just want a product that works. So I really like that. And as Brendan mentioned, will that show up underneath the chat drop down like a Facebook message would come in? Yep. So it will be coming. It'll behave just like current chat tickets. And there was another great question there, but can we send notifications to team members once they get assigned a ticket? Essentially, that the person would be alerted that they have a ticket. Yes, and that's already a rule by default in accounts. You can set who that applies to as well. And then as we grow and our customers grow and their teams have been expanding, we're planning on adding that notification center as well, just like some of your favorite apps like Asana or Notion that we use here at Gorgias.
Absolutely. And yeah, I do really love that idea. And I think over time, as we expand, that's something we absolutely will look into. Right now we're kind of focusing on case-by-case basis. That's how we're approaching this, how can we automate as many tickets as possible? And right now we're focused on just kind of bare returns, just, I want to return a product, I want credit back. But over time, we're going to continue to expand. We're going to continue to expand our. We're going to continue to expand our products and the use cases of which we're trying to get. So as we move forwards into exchanges, I think that's a really, really cool way that would be super useful. So it's definitely something we'll look into. So that is the tutorial for the chatbot. I think now is a good time maybe to transition into the just raw Q&A. So you guys just keep them coming. Any questions you guys have? I would also love to, I'd love to hear about one thing we're working on is this auto merge feature. Right now we're limited in our capabilities to merge tickets of the same channel. And I'm curious, does that does that really fix, like, for those people who have trouble with a lot of tickets coming in from the same customer, are they often from the same channel? Is that the primary issue, or do we need to start approaching this from a merging tickets of all channels together? That's the key. That's kind of the key question. I'd love to get some feedback from you guys on.
All channels, says Anne. Yeah, let's hear. Do you want to start a poll, Zach? Actually, that could be a good way to see this.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
In the meantime, we have a few questions directed at the current user. So Trevor is asking, is there a way to create a view for internal notes that are directed at the current user? So it's a bit similar to the notification center. Like sometimes you might have internal notes that are directed to you, and so you want to have some sort of view to get the list of them and make sure you handle them. So that's something we are considering. If you are interested, just +1 Trevor's question. So this way we can get an idea of how valuable that is and prioritize accordingly. But definitely plans. The only question is when. So if you can tell us more, we'd love to prioritize it. Let's see this one. Any way to know if the customer is still online on the chat? Not right now, but hang tight, because we are shipping a new version of the chat end of September that will show if the customer is online. So definitely just give us a month. Have a notification when customers respond to tickets as well would be really nice. That would be added to the notification center. So that's actually a good question. So we try to limit the number of notifications that we send to people. The reason for it is that we just don't want to overflow you. So like right now, the way it works is that it reopens the ticket. So if you can, yes, Braden, if you can just mention on the chat like why you would like to have that and not only have the ticket reopened, that'd be great to know. So that's it. Zach or Lucas, if you want to take any of the questions.
So there's one in the chat box. Are there any plans for the new chat to have it pop up like a chat would in, say, Facebook when your messenger pops up, or LinkedIn, so you see that conversation more in real time rather than the same view as an email? So this would be for the agents specifically. So do we have any updates to the agent interface of the chat window?
Yeah, so no plans yet. It's a trade-off, basically. Like, either you have this approach of saying emails look a certain way, chat look like the same thing that we have on Facebook and LinkedIn with a small chat pop-up. So either you have two ways to display things, which can cause some confusion, or you just have one. Right now, we chose to have one. I know that sometimes it's helpful to have like 4 minimized chat windows, and so it's faster to jump between those. So yeah, like we chose this route, but we're completely open to exploring the other one. So if you have feedback on like why it's better, like, that we can definitely start from there and then ask other people on this webinar and also like survey some of our customers to see what that's like. I also opened this one. How can I flag an email so I can answer it later so my colleagues don't close it? So one thing you can do is snooze it. Another one is assign it to you so it goes out of the queue. 7 upvotes. So I can answer it later. Yeah, if you can tell me a little more about like why you would want to do that and not assign it to you.
Hannah had a great workaround in the chat, or not a workaround. It's a great way to do it. Leave an internal note and assign the ticket to yourself, so then you see it later. So so that would be adding it to your queue, and then you have the context of what to follow up with.
Yeah, that would be like the Gorgias way of doing it. Like if we are missing something, and if you have another use case in mind that doesn't work so well with this, like completely open to discussing it. So many questions. It's hard to do that.
Okay.
Is there a way we can scroll through tickets with just viewing the ticket itself? Same thing here. Like so, sometimes what you can do on other help desk is that you hover the ticket on the list, and then you see what the ticket looks like, and then you jump to the next one. Something that we've done is that there is a navigate ticket view, so you can open the first one and then press the next arrow, and so you can do next to navigate them faster, and this way you can take actions. That's the approach that we took. The reasons are that you're able to take actions and you have the full context. That being said, again, like happy to get more feedback on from you guys and see if it's worth doing another way. Zach, I see you're typing for one question. Do you want to put this on stage?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, let's see. So, one sec. So Curtis asked for a live chat. Is there any way to turn it to the away message during business hours when we do not have an agent available to take on incoming chats? Yeah, so one thing that a lot of our customers will do for doing business, like for business hour specific messages, is create a rule. And let me see if I can actually share that rule with you. But essentially what you can do as one of the, within our rules section, is create rules that are dependent on a business, like within business hours, outside business hours. So what you can essentially say is have a, for example, if a customer reaches out during a, within business hours, say, have a autoresponder created that will say, if the channel is chat and within business hours, then respond, an agent will be with you soon. Or you can say, and then have another part of that where it says, if the channel is chat and it's outside business hours, say, I apologize, we're outside of our business hours. An agent will be with you, at this time tomorrow. And that way you can use the rules to create an autoresponder rather than using our internal autoresponder, which I can share. Let me grab, actually, I can share that rule. Let's see. Sorry. Yeah, and so that should, but that should sort the issue here. Let me throw that together really quick for you guys. Okay. There we go. So I'm going to share my screen and just show you what that looks like. Okay. So what you can essentially do is create a rule called chat autoresponder. And now it says when a ticket's created, then if the ticket channel is chat, so that's going to basically say, okay, if this is a chat ticket, then if the message sent during business hours, then you would respond, thanks for reaching out. An agent will be with you soon. And then then you create another if statement that would say if the message is outside business hours, then you could insert your we're outside of business hours. Please reach out soon, or something like that. And that essentially would solve that issue that you were talking about, which is notifying, without getting rid of the chat, notifying them that your chat's you're outside of your designated business hours. So let's see. So Alexandra.
Yeah, we have time for one more.
One more. But the good news is, not to do too much of a spoiler alert, we are going to have another product Townhall in 2 weeks to join us there. I also, Romain, I don't know if you probably don't know this yet, but I'm going to be revamping our podcast just to show a little bit more product knowledge as well. So if you have any questions after the webinar, in the follow-up email that comes to my email, just reply back with those questions so we can start incorporating some of that into our blog, use some GIFs, and really highlight that more ways to get functionality out of Gorgias, because as much as we can try to guess what we can show you, the more that you ask us, the more we can support the community. So we have time for one more question. Romain or Zach, which one do we want to take?
I can take this one. Yeah, what happened if a customer chats with us, I reply 2 hours later, the customer replies back, and I'm out, and nobody knows that you're not available. There is some ticket assignment that basically put back in the so what you can do is exactly that, where basically when this create this, like, if you're not sorry, there's a new message out.
That's what we have to. Oh, Romain, your internet's cutting out a little bit.
Shit.
Yeah.
I can take it. So so you're saying, so what happens if a customer chats us, they reply, and then a couple hours later they reply back? Well, so what you can do is in your settings and Gorgias, I can share my screen. So one thing you can set as a setting is in your ticket assignment settings. You can set this setting called Unassign on reply. So if there's a new reply in a ticket from the following channels, which you can set these channels here, and the user is not available. So if you're not on Gorgias in any in any site, essentially. So what you can do is set your status, for example, as available or unavailable, or you've just been inactive on Gorgias. You can have the program set to automatically assign that to an agent who is available. That way the customer will get access to, they'll get access to an agent who is available. What you can also do is create a rule potentially that you could say, if I guess you could say if.
Yeah, I think the auto assign is probably going to be the best
the best
workaround. Like the
answer.
other role might be tricky. Cool. Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. I heard, like, Lucas, you had some closing thoughts.
I do. So a couple questions, Dana. Our podcast is called the E-commerce Swipe File. Really tactical advice and tactics to grow your business, and especially by leveraging customer support. There's a link to it. We're actually going to put the audio replay up on the podcast, so check your emails for that. And if you see that I sent a quick poll, do you know anyone who could be a Gorgias customer? We realize that there's just so many initiatives to bring on a new customer, but it's never a great feeling when you see that somebody else gets something great for joining when you've been a customer for months or even years. So a little thank you to any of our customers who refer us someone. We will give you an iPhone. Again, the details where you can submit that will be in the follow-up email, and I will post a link here in the chat box as well. So just want to make sure that everyone knows about that, because if you want an iPhone and you were going to recommend Gorgias anyway, well, we hope we can make your holiday a little bit earlier, just as our way of saying thank you for being a customer.
Yeah, thank you so much, everyone, for joining. What is the name of the podcast? Yeah, nice. I just want to stress how cool this is to chat all here in this webinar and get your feedback. That we're building a virtual product. Like I'm working from my living room, so it's just so cool to see like 70 of you in front of us, like giving feedback. It's a good dose of energy for the day. So really appreciate it again.
It is. Thank you, everyone. We'll see the questions, and if you do have any more questions as well, I'll post the link in the follow-up email as well. But come join our community on Facebook. We're all there, and we see a lot of great experience sharing with one another. So thank you so much, Braden. Thank you so much, Raina. Thank you, Angela, Sylvia, Jackie, Cody, Alexandra, Cindy. You're going to start playing me off here with the music. So thank you, everyone. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Guys. Bye, everyone.